For centuries, there have been few things that have triggered fear in humans quite like the notion of death. The end of life has always been an existential stressor for humans. However, in today's video, I argue that most people would swiftly choose to succumb to death's grasp when faced with the horrors of today's topic. 3 ancient torture methods, and here's a hint. They are gruesome, most likely painful as fuck, and for certain worse than having your local coffee joint mess up your drink order. You think you're having a bad day if they forget to put mustard on your McDouble? How about being locked in a bronze apparatus shaped like a giant bull and being forcibly baked alive as flames are stoked from a fire pit underneath? The lack of oxygen in the contraption would likely be depleted and the prisoner would lose consciousness before sustaining any burns. Nonetheless, this torture method would have been a horrific way to go. This method of torture, of course, is referred to as the Brazen Bull or the Sicilian Bull. It was designed and implemented in the execution of criminals in ancient Greece. In short, the bull was crafted of a hollowed-out piece of bronze and had a door mounted to the side in which a criminal was placed inside, and the door would be shut and locked behind them. A fire would be set below the belly of the bull and the prisoner would essentially be roasted alive. The head of the bull was said to have been outfitted with horn-shaped tubes of bronze so that the screams of the unfortunate soul inside would seemingly be converted into the sounds of a bellowing bull. I certainly wouldn't want to piss anybody off in ancient Greece. Go on now, in you go. You besmirched the royal family. The device was even said to have been used by the Romans later in history to dispatch several Christians. Next in our lineup of heinous pre-civilized acts against humanity puts a whole new spin on a stomachache, and warning, this one is pretty gross. Scaphism is the ancient Persian torture that involves strapping the victim to a wooden boat and force-feeding or engorging the person with milk and honey. Their head would be strapped in place also so that they were facing the sun at all times. Likewise, they are stripped nude, slathered with honey, and shipped out down the river. Now, while this all doesn't sound very terrible at face value, it is what is about to follow that is the nightmarish part. The victim would start to experience diarrhea due to the rich mixture of milk and honey, and as the boat fills up with their excrement, this is where the torture begins. Where there is shit, there will be flies. Different insects and vermin start to migrate to the boat due to the fact that there is sweet honey slathered to the body and festering bacteria in the wooden boat. At this point, the person will begin to experience said critters infiltrating their personal space, to say the least. The insects and vermin will start to eat the person alive until they burrow inside the person. This would have been a slow and excruciating process. Likewise, they would have experienced horrible infectious sores from being stuck in their own waste. Truly a shitty experience, to say the least. Our final entry brings us to the method that would make your skin crawl, or rather would remove your skin. Flaying is the art of separating someone from their skin with a sharp object like a blade. And boy, do I bet it hurts like a bitch. The process of flaying or skinning is horrendous and slow. The victim's feet and arms were bound so that they could not move, and then a blade would be used to begin the awful system of removing the skin. The nerve endings in the flesh would be exposed, resulting in a searing pain. This act was often used to debase or dehumanize a criminal or enemy in Neo-Assyrian times, as it was suspected to deny entry into the afterlife. Many parts of medieval Europe would also use this method of public flaying or skinning for executions, and it can also be traced to the late 18th century France. There are other cultures that have incorporated the separation of skin from flesh in traitors and enemies throughout history. These are just some instances. Some of you might have heard of scalping, which is a cousin of skinning, and the method involves removing someone's scalp and letting them experience a painful bleed. The scalp is full of connective tissue and is very vascular, as there are arteries that are vital to feeding blood to it. So this was also a brutal way that was used to dispatch enemies. Now, of course, all of these tortures are illegal in every part of the world, but unfortunately some cultures are still using these methods even in the 21st century. But I want to hear from you. Let me know in the comments which one of these ugly punishments sounds the worst to you. Or are there any other punishments from our dark past that you have heard of or that you want me to cover? Be sure to let me know. And as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.